Hey everybody, I think I'm live using the phone again tonight, using the Google software to do speed dial. But before we get started tonight, I think most of you have heard the very sad news that Rick Halber passed away today. Rick Halber, for those of you that knew him, and I knew him fairly well. I talked to him a few times on the phone, certainly exchanged a lot of messages with him and saw him on a lot of the chats, a lot of the panels that he had, that people have online. Just a very generous guy. He actually lent me some things for the Skydio when I needed them, sent them over to me. Um, Always was willing to help out, and he's going to be really missed. I heard it from Chris Hope today, and I think a lot of you guys already knew. But God bless Rick Halber, and we'll miss him. But I know he would want the show to go on tonight, and I miss seeing him in the chat. But let's all just take a moment to reflect on him and just be thankful that we had the time that we did with him. So that said, let's move on to what we're doing tonight. And tonight is Speed Dial, where we reach out to different members of the drone community and talk about all the things that we are doing, the good things that are going on, the challenges we have going on, what kind of drones we're flying, all that stuff. And my guest tonight is someone that I'm really excited to have on. He is someone who I've noticed more and more in the chats and more watching the videos, and it's a very strange coincidence, not really strange, but it is a coincidence that he was subscriber of the month on my channel for the month of March, because we had already planned this. He and I had planned this several months ago to have him on Speed Dial tonight. His name's Adam Johnson, and he is a paramedic. He works for the city of Austin as part of the emergency response group. He runs actually a team there, and they have recently launched a program called Spartan UAS Team. You can see the sticker he sent me there, which, by the way, I now have on the laptop. I've got the Spartan UAS Team on there. I've got Metro Drones. I've got 400 AGL. I've got Sean sticker. Got Droner. A whole bunch of good ones on there. So if you have a small sticker, send it to me, and I'll probably put it on my laptop. But yeah, Adam is part of the response team that helps keep this city moving. And he also was really involved in the recent stuff that we had going on with all of the ice and all that stuff that just happened here. So let's bring him on and talk about what kind of stuff he's doing to help our city out. Hey, there he is. Can you hear me, Adam?
Hey, Kelly, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. You sound great. And
Great.
strange coincidence. He's just right up the road in Leander, so not too far away from here. So as I said, Adam, you're doing a lot of stuff that is helpful, obviously to our community, but now you've incorporated drones into it. Tell us a little bit about Spartan Team.
Yeah, so it's something we started talking about and working on a couple of years ago, and COVID kind of got in the way over the last year, but we've, in the last 6 months or so, put the team together. So it's part of Austin Travis County EMS. We're a municipal third service, which basically just means we're not part of the fire department, we're not part of the police department, we're sort of our own department. So back in the summer is when we really started working on forming up the team, and over the last 6 months, we've acquired quite a few aircraft, and we've got 16 pilots right now that are trained and qualified. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, but it's also been a lot of fun, and like I was telling you earlier, I'm kind of new to the drone community. I never really got into this really until the summer, so I'm kind of a newbie in this. But we've done a lot over the last 6 months, and I feel like I've got a pretty good group of guys and gals, and
That's awesome.
we're really excited about what we're doing. Yeah.
And aside from, you mentioned training, aside from Part 107, which I've heard it explained that Part 107 is a lot like going to ground school for a private pilot's license. You learn the weather, you learn the maps, you learn the the TAPs and the just all of the regulations for flying a UAS, but a lot of it applies to manned pilots. But aside from the that training that you do for Part 107, what other training do you guys go through to be able to fly in these situations? Is there additional training?
Yeah. So yeah, I was surprised that with Part 107 you can go take the test and you've never actually flown a drone and become a commercial drone pilot with no flight experience at all. So we require all of our guys to be Part 107. That's actually to get into the program. They've got to go get their Part 107. And then we do a 45-hour academy that
Wow.
runs over 5 days and covers most of the time, probably of that 45 hours, about 8 of it is classroom time, and the rest of it is all flight time. So it builds day to day. It gets more complex and a little more challenging. Where by the end of the week, we're really pushing uh, most of the time, pushing their comfort level and kind of pushing the limits of the aircraft. So we do day and night scenarios. There's search and rescue, which is kind of our bread and butter, what we do the most of, or where we see the most work. Um, and so by the end of it, they've got about 8 hours of night flight, and then the rest of the time during the day. And then on top of that, we're also working in the region. Like as you know, there's a lot of government programs out there now. There's a lot of public safety programs starting to incorporate drones into their response. So we know that we're going to be working with some of these other agencies. So we're doing some regional training. We've worked really closely with like the Austin Fire Department, who's had a program in place for years. And they've been great partners for us. We've been able to learn a lot from them, and they've really helped us come along. I feel like we wouldn't be as far ahead as we are right now without their help.
That's
So
awesome.
we do, yeah, we're able to do some local training and also work with the other teams out in the region.
So when you said earlier you have a fleet of drones now, just you kind of obviously, I think a lot of the
Yeah.
folks in the audience probably, their ears went, what kind of what's the most prevalent and preferred? I mean, is it the bigger birds? Is it DJI, or the regulations against using DJI because of China? Is what's the government policy when it comes to city and municipalities?
Yeah. So we didn't really have any problems with the regulations and what's going on with the Chinese manufacturers. That's really more at the federal level. So we're pretty much an Autel shop, and the
Oh,
reason we chose to go with Autel are the thermal cameras. So our frontline aircraft, we've got 3 of the Autel Evo 2 duals that have the 640 by 512 FLIR boson
nice.
thermal imagers, which is a complete game changer for us in public safety. And then we've got 3 of the I just picked up our last 2, but we've got 3 of the Autel Evo 2 Pros also. So
Wow, wow.
um,
I actually just got an Evo 2 Pro. It's still in the box. It just arrived a couple of days
yeah,
ago. And I've been hearing really good things about it. I had flown one time before, but I've never really gotten to take it out. Now it's the 6K version, doesn't have any thermal imaging or anything like that, but I believe
right,
it has a really good camera on it, and I am curious to do some comparisons with it and the like say the Mavic 2 Pro. Kind of how do those two cameras stack up against each
right.
other? But I'm talking more from a cinematic perspective. But I will say that the Autel, the Evos are kind of tanks. I mean, those things seem like they're really solidly built and really kind of heavy, but they have a lot of power. Is that in your experience in flying them? Do you feel like they're
Yeah,
durable?
yeah, they're definitely durable. They hold up really well in the wind. I think because they weigh little over 2 pounds.
Yeah,
So we've been able to fly. We were flying today at COTA at Circuit of the Americas, and we probably had 35-mile-an-hour gusts,
yeah. It was windy today.
and it was pretty windy. And they stuck and held their position really well. So the manufacturer says they can fly in the Beaufort scale 8 winds, which is like 35 knots. Um,
Wow.
And so it's been really nice to not to have to worry about the wind as much. Um, I know there was oh gosh, one of the guys that's in chat a lot, Daytona hot rod Daytona hot rod.
Okay.
Is he? There's a. I know he had a video of one of the tropical storms blowing into uh, Tampa or Daytona, and it was just amazing to see. He had an Autel that was in probably 40-mile-an-hour winds, and just sitting there on the beach, you could see it was fighting really hard
Yeah,
to
yeah,
hold its
just
spot.
kind of tipped
But
over, and that's awesome.
yep, yep. So they've been, we have a few DJIs as well. We ended up buying for training aircraft. We bought, I think I've got 6 or 7 of the Mavic Minis.
Oh, nice.
So we issue those out before class and let people get some stick time. And we give them as part of the online training we do for 107. We also, the same vendor has like a basic maneuvers course that's really nice, really well put together, and helps them get more comfortable with the aircraft, just all the orientation, right, of changing the way it's facing, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
right input means left and left means right, and
Right. Well, and
that's
you got to mention too, real quick, before we get much further, because this is sort of a little bit of your drone origin story. And you mentioned to me the drone you went out and bought to learn on, which was the SEMA X5C.
yep.
So did you like flying that one? I mean, did you feel like it was useful to learn on?
I, Absolutely, yeah. So it was during the summer in the middle of the COVID response. We were very busy, and and I was kind of got the bug to get into the drone uh, hobby and try to turn it into a team for EMS back in probably June or July. So I went and bought it on Amazon based on watching one of your videos and watching the, where you had recommended it as as a great starter drone to just kind of cut your teeth on.
Yeah.
It was really challenging to fly in comparison to a GPS equipped drone, but yeah, so I spent a lot of time flying it around. Inside the house and a little bit outside the house. My family went outside with my 9-year-old and punched it up over the, probably about 30 feet up over the roof, and it was windy enough that it took off, and it was like every input I did made it worse.
Oh
And it
no.
was just kind of sailing away. So it made it about a block and a half down the road before it crashed and didn't damage it, but
You were able to go. You were able to
got
go
it.
find
I
it.
was able to go. Oh yeah, we went and found it, and it did fine. Um, so yeah, it was. I think learning on that made flying the GPS drones so much easier.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and
being able to.
that's really the point of that I was making in that video. And you're one of the first people I've ever talked to that like actually, took that advice and didn't go out and buy a Mavic or something right out of the gate. But the SEMA X5C, it does have stabilization. So it's not, you're not flying it.
Yep.
It's not like an FPV drone where you can rotate it all the way over and crash. But I will say that I find it much easier to fly in it usually has 2 or 3 rates. You can push a little button, it'll beep
Mm-hmm.
once, beep twice. I'll put it into the highest rate, and then it is, it's a lot more responsive. But yeah,
Yeah.
that makes me really happy to hear that story, honestly, because it's so true that people who start on a GPS drone never learn some of those skills when it comes to just being able to make it go where you want it to go without any help. Um,
Right.
have
Yep.
you tried Have you
Yep.
tried FPV, like any unstabilized acro stuff?
I not nope, not yet.
You're
Everything I've done has been
you're gonna
GPS. And
you're gonna
oh yeah, yeah. I'm
we're gonna get the goggles on you.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, I know you had talked about maybe coming down to our last meetup down in
Mm-hmm.
New Braunfels, and Doc Murdock was there. He's in the chat, and Sunrise Water Media. Chris Hope's been down there. Jerry from Mesquite, who runs the drone interest group up there. All those guys, and Michael Wright, who's in there too, is in the chat as well. I believe came down one time. It's a great thing. I think Kai's got a date picked for March. I think it's going to be, actually, it might be next weekend, March 20th. I don't know that I can make it. Both my kids' birthdays and spring break and all that stuff are in March, and so
Right.
it's kind of a crazy month for us. But regardless, I would next first time we fly together, I'm going to put some goggles on you, and we'll see what you can do.
All right.
We'll start you
Sounds
out with
good.
something that has ducted props. So going
Yeah.
back a little bit to one of the stories you had told me, you sent me a couple of emails prior to us talking, and we're talking about the week of the freeze. What were some things you
Mhm.
guys were doing? Were you flying during that week?
So we didn't fly during the actual weather event. We didn't have any missions, and once the snow and the ice stopped, and the water points of distribution spun up, we ended up going out and flying for the Emergency Operations Center for the EOC over the points of distribution sites. So it's basically there was like one of the community colleges campus with big parking lot where they would bring in 100 pallets of water and hand it out to folks that would drive through. So we would put the drones up just to give that kind of the aerial point of view back to the EOC so they could see traffic flow.
Oh wow.
Is it moving the way that they want it to? Is it backing? Is the traffic backing up into the roadway, and make adjustments? And they actually were able to make some adjustments real time based on what they were seeing, and opened additional lanes. And so that's what we do with the drones in the public safety space. Um, there's a lot of that. Just where
Yeah,
we
just eyes in the sky,
are
right?
giving
Just
that eyes in the sky, and yeah,
yeah.
it's not real exciting. It's not, it's you kind of launch and go to the same spot and sit there and kind of watch the same things. But that perspective to the command post and to the folks that are trying to make decisions is, it's fantastic. And there's a lot to be said for pictures worth 1,000 words, right? So if
Yeah, yeah.
somebody's trying to describe what's going on with an incident versus being able to put a drone up and show them.
Well, in that situation, are you sending a live feed back to the command, or are you just describing? You're just giving them like
So
like the pilot's watching and describing, or is it actually a live feed that they're seeing?
yeah, so we actually use software that links all of our aircraft together, so we can
Oh,
have 3 or 4 aircraft up at the same time, and even allows us to link other agencies' aircraft in. So when we're flying with the fire department or with DPS, with the police department or the sheriff's office, we can share all of the telemetry on our aircraft so we can see where they're at, which direction their camera's
wow.
facing, what's their altitude, and we can see their feeds as well. The EOC is not as concerned about the telemetry, but we can push them to live feeds. So it's pretty amazing software that's
What
helped.
it can
Uh,
you say what it is?
yeah, it's Drone Sense.
Drone sense.
So
Okay.
they're actually a local Austin company as well, and they've got a huge market share right now in public safety um, because of their ability to help deconflict airspace when you've got multiple aircraft up, and the streaming that's their kind of their bread and butter is pushing those live streams back.
Well,
We've had
I wanted to ask about the deconflicted airspace, like because a lot of times you'll
yep.
have manned aircraft in the area for something like that. How does that work? What's going on to coordinate all that?
Yeah, so we actually, one of the things that we can do with DroneSense is put an iOS or an Android device in the manned aircraft. So a good example of that's DPS. Now they've got a huge fleet of manned aircraft, but they've got 3 or 4 helicopters that work in this kind of in this vicinity in the San Antonio to Waco, Austin area. So when with DroneSense, we can actually see where they're at, which direction they're flying, what their altitude is, and they can see us as well. So
Wow.
the it's usually not the pilot; it's usually their tactical flight officer, the guy who's sitting in the other seat in the co-pilot seat, but that's operating their cameras and all of that. Can pull it up on an iPad or on a an iOS device and see where the drones are at. So we've done a couple of training missions with Starflight, who is our local. They're air medical, but they're multi-mission manned aircraft. So they do rescue work, hoisting, and they do firefighting with the Bambi bucket that drops 500 gallons of water. And we've done some flights with them where we've put drone sense in the aircraft and had the pilots up. And so our primary way to deconflict with them right now is on aviation radio. So we'll switch over to one of the public safety aviation frequencies and talk direct from our guys flying the drone to the pilot in Starflight.
Okay, so they'll know. Hey, I'm over on the east side of this field. I'm at 40 feet. Don't go there. Don't fly there. Kind of
Pretty
thing.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you
And we,
have you?
for the most part, we get out of their way when they
Yeah,
come
of
in.
course.
We're going to move. We get out
Have
of their
you
way.
played with Airsense at all? Have you seen any of the DJI drones that have Airsense built in? The ability. What's the three-letter acronym for it? I'm forget.
ADSB.
80. Yeah, thank you. 4 letters. Have you played with any of those?
So we haven't. We keep the Flight Radar 24, that website. I don't know if you've seen it, that has the ADSB feeds. So we'll typically keep that up on an iPad or on one of the laptops, if just to watch where the general aviation guys are at around us, and we can see Starflight on that as well.
Okay.
They have a separate flight tracking program that they use. That we've talked about getting a login so we can actually follow them on their flight tracking program. That's probably a little more reliable than ADSB.
Well, they're going to know. I mean, the thing is, obviously, we've had problems, with the California wildfires and some of the natural disasters. We've had problems with hobbyist drone pilots and even probably some Part 107 drone pilots trying to get footage of it and getting in the way.
Yeah.
They're not coordinating, right? They're really just getting in the way. I think that's the key that you're talking about, is this interagency coordination that's going on to make sure that, and of course they know you're going to be there, right? They know to look out for you. This
Right.
is this situation. And so tell me a little bit more about the rescue part, search and rescue. Have you been able to do some, to find lost people, lost animals, track criminals? What's that all about?
Yeah. So like I said, we're a brand new program.
That's right. That's right.
We've only got started in really in the last couple of months officially. So we haven't done a lot of search and rescue work outside of the training that we do. So the real benefit with the thermal, with the FLIR, is the rescue work at night, being able to get out over a field or over the green belt or some of the cliffs and topography that we have here in Austin, and to be able to get out there and find people. So our program hasn't yet found anyone on a live mission, just because we haven't had the opportunity to get out there much. But we've done a lot of training on it, and it's fantastic. The ability to get up and get out over the green belt quickly and be able to identify, especially with the sensors on the Autel. It's got a 640 by 512 resolution sensor, that's the reason we bought Autel. Was
that's actually a bigger sensor.
It's a big
for
sensor.
a thermal camera than most. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So at the time, like DJI's Mavic Enterprise
Enterprise,
Dual
yeah.
had a 130 by 90.
I've seen that footage before,
So, yeah,
and it's very grainy, not very high resolution.
Yep. Yeah. So now they've come around. The market has driven them to get a better small quadcopter thermal. So they've got the Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced that has a 640 by 512. But the sensor is just fantastic. So you can be 150, 200 feet, 100 yards, 200 yards off somebody, and clearly identify not just that there's a heat signature down there, but that it's a person. Or that it's a deer or a livestock or whatever it is, and so it's not as intuitive as you'd think it would be. It's definitely interesting to play with thermal. It's not magic, There's things with solar loading, and when the ground is hot, especially if the ground happens to be close to 98 degrees, you can be invisible on the thermal.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but at night, especially a little after sunset, once the thermal loading has started to cool off, um, people, you literally glow out there with the thermal on.
Yeah, and
So
you sent me some footage. Unfortunately, because of the platform I'm using, I can't play it here, but I will, I think
yeah,
I'll make more videos about this in the future. It's very interesting stuff. I was about to ask about that with Texas being as hot as it is in the summer. I would think that there'd be a time period, even at night, when the ground still may be 98 degrees. When it gets up to 115 during the day or something crazy like that.
yeah.
Does that sort of render thermal cameras not very useful for search and rescue in those situations?
So it definitely is a challenge. We've got different color palettes that we can use that will um, be more sensitive to the temperatures. But if it's perfectly 98.6 degrees, and that person is 98.6 degrees, you won't see them. They're invisible. There's some great videos out there that kind of show that. And we've done it just during our training evolutions of watching somebody walking over, like the limestone that's been solar loaded, and how they're almost ghosted on the image. Either the limestone's hotter than they are, or they're just a little bit warmer than the limestone, and then they get to a shaded spot and they just pop out.
Wow,
Um, so
I'm
it's
here.
definitely, yeah, exactly. Um, it's interesting to see how the thermal loading changes things with thermal, but it's still at night, the difference of being able to see what's out there in front of you, when it's pitch black and we can see the aircraft, uh, keeping visual line of sight, right? But you can't see anything, and then you turn the thermal on, and all of a sudden there's
Yeah, yeah,
trees, ground,
yeah.
and so it's even with the solar loading, it's a game changer for us and public safety.
Well, let me ask you this. So you've incorporated this team, the Spartan team, into the department, which is awesome. You've got pilots, you've got the resources of having all these Autel and some DJI drones ready to go out. So this has become part of your job, right? This has become part of your
Mhm.
day-to-day thing. You're going to get called at some point, and probably already have, to go out and fly missions. When
Yep.
how does that how does that, or has it yet? Maybe it hasn't been long enough, but do you still enjoy flying drones? Do you feel still like get that excitement like when you're not on a mission and you're just out flying for fun? Does that still excite you, or does mixing
Oh
work?
yeah.
I always kind of wondered if
Um,
you had to do it for a living, if it would still be fun as a hobby.
right. So yeah, for me, it's still a blast, and for the guys on the team, everybody still really enjoys flying. And because it's not something that we're doing every day, like that's the only thing that we do, I think it'll stay fresh, and people will really enjoy it. I've been at EMS for 25 years. And like, if you'd have asked me 25 years ago, do you think we'll be flying drones around looking for people in the green belt?
Yeah, that would blow your mind, right?
There's no
What?
way, right?
Yeah.
So we're really, I mean, there's a bunch of us, that are kind of drone nerds now, and we're like,
Oh,
so
there's
it's
like
all very
42 of them
exciting for
watching us
us.
right now.
Right.
There's 42. Ray Kelly.
Yep.
Ray Kelly just said your guest is interesting, Kelly. So thank you. Yeah, I'm fascinated by this because you hear about people doing these things with drones, but to actually get to talk to somebody who's on the ground building this program. Do you guys ever incorporate civilians into, like, if would there be I know there are some groups that are like volunteer search and rescue drone
Mhm.
pilots who are Part
Yep.
107 certified. Probably haven't had the amount of training that your folks have had. I'm sure they haven't, but are willing to go out and personally, if someone was lost in a certain area, like I live in kind of Northwest Austin, and there's a lot of green around here. I mean, there's a lot
Mhm.
of big undeveloped areas where deer live and stuff like that. But if someone got lost out there, I'd be very happy to go out and do it. But is that something you guys do, or is the liability too high to have a civilian on something like that?
So for our team, you've got to be an employee of our department. Um, we haven't opened it to the public and probably won't because of the part of it's the liability and part of it is so we're all Part 107 pilots, but we're also flying under a certificate of authorization, which makes it instead of flying Part 107, you're actually flying Part 91
Uh,
with that. So it changes some of the rules. It allows us to do things like we've got a 107.29, the night waiver, daylight waiver. Um, but with the COAs, we technically, we can fly at night. We can fly in controlled airspace at night. There's some additional reporting requirements, but part of what happens with the COA is the city takes on, or it's a government entity that has to do that. We're the only ones that can
yeah, yeah.
approved for COAs. So the city takes on a lot more liability when we're flying under the COA than just flying 107 flights.
Sure.
There are some volunteer groups. There's some great groups here in the Austin and the Texas, kind of Central Texas area. Like Texar is probably the biggest. And they do. I know they have a UAS program because we've reached out and been communicating with them about doing some joint training. And they actually, it sounds like they've got a pretty well developed program that does a lot of the additional scenario training and spend some time getting their pilots, what they need to get out and fly. Because it's definitely a unique environment to go. Like you don't know where you're going, and the first time you launch, it may be dark, and so it's tough
Well, that's why you do so much training,
getting
right? I
up
mean,
and
you
right.
talked about like 45 additional hours of training beyond just the Part 107. So,
Yeah.
so that no, that makes a lot of sense. And as far as I guess the question wasn't really about. I wouldn't expect you to just say, "Hey, let's bring some civilians in. Let's deputize all you guys and let you
Right.
here's your badge. Go out there and find somebody." It's not like that. But I do think that these groups that do volunteer work, if they're well organized, that is a resource that maybe smaller towns wouldn't have access to the facilities that Austin has and the trained people and stuff. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to save a person's life or to get information about, let's say somebody's fallen somewhere and you can't get to them or something like that, time is of the essence. And so having local
Right.
people in the area is probably almost as important as the training. If there's someone who's responsible and can do the thing. But
Yeah,
um,
for sure. I mean, and that's part of the reason, I said there's a lot of public safety programs out there. The fire department's been doing this for 5, 6 years. And what everyone, if you go out and watch one of these calls, um, or you do an after action review on one of these calls, you need more aircraft. Having one drone up looking for somebody, you're only covering so much space. If
yeah,
you can, affect that same search with two or three, um, that's all the better. And
yeah,
I think that like the Texar guys, they're a pretty big organization now. It's all volunteers, but it's people that that have a desire to get out and get trained. They provide that training, and then to be able to go out and help when something comes up like this. And they do a lot of work in the more rural areas around us, but they come in and help us as well. Like it's not uncommon to see Texar um, in Travis County.
yeah. I see. Dustin Gable was asking about. He said he's in the Southern Illinois Search and Rescue Group. They're looking for a helicopter pilot. I would imagine that a lot of folks who get into this are actual pilots. I mean, it's one of those things where if you are an actual pilot, you understand airspace. Your Part 107 is a very easy thing to get. And then a lot of these pilots, if they're especially helicopter pilots, they probably have some experience with uh, before UASs, before drones were a common thing. That's what was used, right? It was mostly
Yeah.
helicopters to go out and do that.
Yep.
So, um,
Yep.
yeah, we have a great crew in the chat tonight. I'm going to mention Ray Kelly has an event coming up in Florida. It's on the 20th. It's actually coming up really soon. And I know a lot of the folks that are in the chat tonight are going to that. It's a drone meetup. Adam, did you ever hear about Spin Up, our event here in Austin that we've had a few times?
Yeah, I did. I actually attended the virtual one
Oh yeah,
with
cool.
you guys.
Yeah, yeah, that
So,
that was
yeah.
that was fun. I really I think very strongly feel like we're going to be able to do it in person this year, which I'm excited about. And I feel like this would be a really great topic to talk about. Even whether it's on a
Mhm.
panel or whether it's a like a keynote kind of speech, to have people be able to ask you questions about how all this stuff works, and because as the public, you understand this is our tax dollars at work. This is our
Yep.
time and resources of city employees. How are they being used, and how's that money being spent, how's that time being spent? And then when you can hear about these success stories, and about even the story about the water lines being, then by lines I mean lines of cars of people going to pick up
Hmm.
water. If that saves every resident 10 minutes to do that and makes it flow
Yep.
smoother, that's huge. I mean, if you multiply that by the number of people that needed that service. I remember actually when the water went out, like what was it, 2 years ago when we had the flood and it knocked
Hmm.
out our water treatment plant. I had to go several times, go wait in line to get bottled water because there was
Yep.
no bottled water at any stores. Yeah, it was crazy, and so
Yep.
you know there were no drones in the air there.
No, no, we weren't flying back then.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
so
yeah.
so what other stuff do you like to do besides drones? What holds your interest outside of the drone hobby? I know you got a family and
Oh,
you live here
yep.
in Leander.
Yeah. So I'm probably mostly a workaholic. I don't have a lot of hobbies outside of work, and I've kind of turned drones into work. But definitely spending time with family. I've got, they've supported me through all of this. It's been a really long 6 months getting the program up off the ground. We had a lot of help from some of the other agencies around us, but it's been busy. Even today, I was planning on being home this afternoon, and as things turned out, we ended up out flying at CODA for the mass vaccination site. Same thing, watching traffic
Oh,
flow and giving them a live feed. So, and that's where I'll be all weekend. So,
yeah, I
um,
was I was gonna
when I,
ask I was gonna ask what you were doing out at Coda, and real quick, I just want to say thank you to Chris Hope, Godspeed Rick Halber. Um, yeah, and but I appreciate that shout out to Rick, and we talked about that earlier. But going back real quick, so thank you, Chris Hope. Going back to being out at Coda, I had an opportunity one time. This was really cool. So I own a video production agency called Sparksite, and we do mostly corporate videos. But what's
Mhm.
nice about that is, and I have my Part 107, and oftentimes a drone for us in one of those kind of videos is just an establishing shot of a building, or it might just be a quick shot of a person. We actually just did something for the city of Marble Falls for their wastewater treatment plant, and there was a drone shot I did right at the beginning where the host takes a bottle of water and pours it into a lake, and then it pulls out to show how big, how surrounded he is by water. It was made the video kind
That's
of
cool.
cool. But
Yeah,
2017, I had a chance to go out to Circuit of the Americas, and we were hired by a marketing agency. And what had happened is all of the dealers for BMW in North America were flown into Austin and got to do hot laps in the new BMW 5 Series. And I got to fly
that's
the
cool.
drone to basically get footage of it out at Coda. That was so much fun. I mean, they were so the folks at Coda, they have a, I don't know if you've been in it, but they have like sort of a command center with cameras and all the
Hmm.
screens up so they can see all the different locations and what's going on at every turn. And I did get scolded once because I got a little too close to the track. I was on a walkie-talkie and I got a, hey Kelly, that's a little close. Keep it back, could you? Yeah, yeah. Where are you? And then I see the camera over there. But
Right.
uh, yeah, that was actually really fun getting to fly out at Coda, and especially when there were cars running. Right, that was kind of the
Right.
thrilling part about it. I was flying a Phantom 4 at the time. I wish I had been able to fly an FPV, because you see all
An
these guys
FPV. Yep.
chasing cars.
Oh
But
yeah.
for you guys flying out there, I suppose that's pretty, like you said, it's pretty easy. You're just seeing cars coming in and kind of giving command information about the traffic flow and the volume of people coming in and such. Have a lot of people been going out there to get the vaccinations?
Yeah, it was a last weekend. I think they processed 10,000 in two
Wow.
days. So they were,
That
yeah, like 6,000 on Saturday and 4,000 on Sunday. Um, and just it's amazing how many vehicles they get pushed through. And
and
it's
everybody just does it in the car, right? You pull up,
yep,
you do the paperwork, they give you the shot, and then you have to sit for a few minutes to make sure
you
you don't
said
have any adverse
yep,
effects. My wife
yep,
actually, do you know where Kelly Reeves is? The
hmm
stadium.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so they're doing the same thing at Kelly Reeves, and my wife volunteered, I think, a week or two ago, and she was in the parking lot, kind of like directing traffic and stuff like that. And she said the same thing. They were just like just going through. But the
yep,
cool thing was, she hadn't intended this, but she ended up getting she was able to get a shot while she was
get a
volunteering. So
vaccine.
that was, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
everybody who, if you want to get a COVID shot, that's probably a good way to do it, is
It's a
go out
great
and
way.
volunteer.
Yep, go volunteer a little bit. Yep, yep.
Hey, another shout out to Rick Halber from Joe Blaylock. He says, yes, Rick Halber will be missed. He loved to support all of us. Always thanked me for flying and putting on YouTube so he could watch. My first subscriber. That's right. You mentioned that earlier, Joe, that Rick Halber was your first subscriber. And yeah, I think he probably was a subscriber to most of the folks in the chat here. So thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. I love, by the way, Joe Blaylock always does this. Like, he does a sequential number. I know I've noticed a pattern here, but I will tell you, Adam, if you haven't seen Joe's footage, he lives in a beautiful location with sheep and lots of woods, and like he'll get these foggy mountain fog kind of rolling in. I think it's in Oregon.
Yeah,
So mountain fog rolling in, and he'll kind of go up above it and fly around a little bit, and then it'll come down, and there'll be sheep right there. It's really kind
I've
of.
seen that. Yeah, I've watched some of his stuff. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I see the grumpy vlogger. I see Matt Cundiff in there. I see, as I said earlier, Michael Wright's in the chat. Chris Hope. We've got quite a crew. Do we want to take any questions? You down for that, Adam?
Sure.
All right. I'm gonna open up the fan line. The way this works, guys, is you mute your feed and just call in on your phone. And by mute your feed, I mean mute your computer or whatever you're watching this on, and then see if you can ask Adam or myself questions. Ask him questions. I don't need any questions. And I actually, I think I told you, I just got an Autel, so I would love to get your thoughts on some of it. It's still in the box. I need to get it all set up. I haven't done, aside from FPV drones, I haven't done a non DJI setup, with software and everything, in a long time. So I'm curious what that process is, because that's always one of those things that you kind of don't really look forward to. It's like, okay, you got to put in the account information, you got to, those 20 steps in order to
Yeah,
get it in the air. But I've heard that Autel, actually, the software is pretty good. Is that your
yeah, it's pretty good.
experience?
Yep, yep. Like I said, we just picked up two this morning, and I was um, out at Coda working on getting them. The firmware, of course, had to be updated, and just going through and doing the calibration. So, compass and IMU and gimbal and all of
Yeah,
that. So I
yeah.
didn't fly either of them. I'm going to fly them tomorrow morning, um, and we'll put them in service. But yeah, it shouldn't be. It's not too hard.
That's always the thing.
Their
That's always the
process is
thing
pretty
too.
simple.
You pretty much should always, well, whether it's DJI, Autel, even the Skydio, you pretty much should always give yourself an hour ahead of time to be able to do all that stuff. If you're going to go on a flight, either do
Yeah.
it the night before or arrive an hour early. Have you flown a
Yep.
Skydio yet, by the way?
I have. Yeah. I actually had the opportunity to fly Skydio and Teal and
Oh, the teal.
Anafi, the whole, yeah, and the Vesper, all of the, whatever the blue, I forget what it's called, Blue Shield or something like that. The 5 programs that the feds the 5 vendors that the feds have allowed
Okay.
purchase through DoD.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
So
came out to Camp Mabry
all,
here in
all the
Austin,
non
and yeah,
DJI, all the
so
non
cool.
DJI stuff.
All the non DJI, non Chinese stuff.
Which probably
So
still has some
yeah,
Chinese parts in it, but
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm
Hey,
sure.
we have a
I'm sure.
caller. Let's see who we got. So
All
here
right.
we go. Hello, caller. Who we got on the air?
Hey, Kelly, this is Doc Murdock.
Doc Murdock, the one and only. By the way, Doc, I don't know that I heard your reply to my joke last night. Did you hear the joke? Should I tell it
Oh,
again?
I heard it. That was awesome.
Let me tell it again. If anybody missed, I was on Ken Herron's show last night, and if anybody missed it, I'll tell you, Adam. Did you hear it? You haven't heard this joke, right?
I yeah, I actually watched the show last night.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell it to everybody else.
It's a good
So
joke.
did you hear about the antennas that got married? Yeah, the ceremony wasn't great, but the reception was fantastic. Chris, I thought of you immediately when I told that.
Absolutely.
So what? Do you have a question for Adam? Sorry, I'm doing all the yakking. Let me shut up. You guys chat.
No,
Adam,
absolutely I do. Adam,
Hey, Doc.
out here in my area, I live up here in Silver City, New Mexico. We're up in a mountainous area, and they don't have a search and rescue system like what you have set up out there in Austin. Do you have the information and how you went about getting it set up in some kind of a package that you could send out to somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the really cool things that we found as we started setting our program up was just how welcoming the public safety community and the search and rescue community is. And so there's a couple of associations. There's a group called Drone Responders. It's droneresponders.org that is focused on public safety and search and rescue drone work. And they actually have just a whole file, kind of a cloud, file system full of example policies and procedures, and they can help with, with getting 107 waivers. Although eventually the FAA will put through the new rules, and we won't have to get a waiver for night anymore. And even if there's some of the public agencies that could get a COA, they've got just tons of information and lots of folks willing to help. I'm definitely willing to help as well.
Oh,
yeah,
good deal. Yeah,
let me see if I can
I have.
connect you to that link too, Doc. So maybe we can get the name of the agency and where we can find it, because I think anybody who lives in a
Yeah,
small town like that might be interested in perusing that. But sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I have a unique position because I already work for the city. So it gives me a little added advantage that I can go in and go talk to the higher ups a little bit easier, than just somebody from the outside.
yeah, yeah.
And you've got a lot of
And
territory out there to cover too, Doc. So I mean, that seems like a place where search and rescue, whether it's out in the desert or under some of the mountainous areas. I mean, I would think that people get lost out there. It probably happens all the time.
yeah, mostly for us, everything to the north of us is all mountains. It's the Gila National Forest. And where I'm at living wise is at 6,000 feet. We have peaks in excess of 9,000. So there's a
Wow.
very high terrain area in here. So yeah, search and rescue is an issue out here. So, and then the last thing, Adam, I'm going to be out there in New Braunfels on the 27th. I will have plenty of stuff. You want to get your feet wet on it? Come on out.
Come check out FTV with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the new date, Chris? The 27th?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
The
okay.
27th.
That's Kai's thing. Like you were at last time.
Yep. Over
Okay.
at Canyon Lake, correct?
Yeah, that's actually, it's Canyon Lake. Anybody who wants the information, it's Lone Star UAV is the person, Kai, that puts it on. I also have the address and stuff. And the 27th is actually way better for me than the 20th. I might actually be able to make that. So that and if Doc's coming, that pushes me even further. So I hope I can be there.
Yeah, I'll be driving in from Florida. Actually, be coming in from Arkansas because I'm going to meet up with 400 AGL on my way back from Florida.
Oh,
So then I'll
nice.
be swinging through on the 27th.
Man, you're doing the whole tour.
Awesome.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Well, Adam, I'll keep you apprised. And if you can make it
Yeah.
down there, we'll give you the address and everything. Well, Chris, good talking to you. I've got another caller in the queue, so let me.
You bet.
I'm going to drop you off and see if I can get the next caller. I think
Alrighty,
it's
have
See you,
another
Chris.
caller. All right, who do we got?
400 AGL on my way back from Florida.
Oh, I hear the. I hear. It sounds like Chris. It sounds like Doc Murdock again.
You're doing the whole tour. Well, yeah. Well,
Can you mute your computer?
make it down there. We'll give you the address and everything. Well, Chris, good talking to you. I've got another caller in the queue, so let me.
Hello, who do we got?
Hey, Kelly, it's Ray Kelly.
Captain
you
Ray
doing?
Kelly. Awesome, man. Thanks for dialing in. As a matter of fact, I was just mentioning that you've got your event coming up, and man, you've got all the stars of the YouTube and drone community coming out to you. That's awesome. It sounds like, how many people are you expecting?
Yeah, well, we got 35 that say they're coming, and yeah, we definitely got some celebrities. I'll call them celebrities.
Well,
But
that's awesome.
newbies are welcome too, and we're gonna have a great time, no doubt about it. And
Very
Kelly,
cool.
thank you very much for promoting it. I
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah. No, I really wish I could be there. As I said, that's actually the 20th is my son's birthday, but March is just always a crazy month. And normally, I'm doing a lot of stuff, a lot of my work at South by Southwest. We do a lot of video for South by Southwest,
Right.
but this year it's virtual again, so that's a little slower, but other stuff's going on. But you got a question for Adam?
Yeah. Yeah, you're a busy guy, and Adam, yeah, find you to be a very interesting guest, and thank you for your service there. But the
Thank
question
you,
I
sir.
have is, how long have you been doing it? When did you get? Well, a couple of questions. When did you get started flying drones? And what is your favorite drone?
Oh,
Yeah. So I really got started over the summer. So I'm a newbie. Probably June or July of 2020 is when I got involved in trying to set up our program and started flying. I really like the Autel Evo. We've got like I said, we've got a couple of a Mavic 2 Zoom and a bunch of the Mavic Minis. So I like the Autel Evo 2. I really like the thermal camera on the dual. But just for fun flying, I really like the minis. And I'm sure I'd probably like FPV for that, especially the little Cinewhoops and things. So I like being able to fly around in the house. And so I guess for work, we're definitely, I'm an Autel guy. But just for fun flying, probably the mini.
yeah, and you
Yeah,
might
right,
put the
right.
Autel up in the house one time, and that would be the last time you ever did it. You know?
Yeah, I've lifted it off the ground, but I haven't flown it around much. It does
Yeah,
pretty well inside. We've flown it like in a gymnasium and some of the other areas, but it's definitely it's a big bird to put up in the house.
yeah, definitely. Well, Captain
Well, I give
Ray,
you a lot of credit.
good
Yep,
luck.
I
Good
give
luck
you a
with your
lot of
event,
credit,
man.
and
Oh, go ahead.
Kelly, the other thing is, please pick your date and your venue because I want to come to that spin up.
I will have it before the summer. So by May at the latest. I know, and it won't be until September, probably October, November, December timeframe. It's honestly, and Adam can tell you this. Uh, just probably a lot like Florida. Austin's not a great place to be in August, or July.
Right.
It's very, very, very unpleasant hot. But yes, Ray, I hear you, man. And I was also going to say, on your event, I had emailed you. I don't know if you saw it. I was going to send you some stuff, to like some giveaways for your event. If you still want that, I can get that
Oh
out
yeah,
to
that
you
would be great. No, I
next
didn't see
week.
it. I'm sorry.
No, no
Yeah,
worries, no
that'd be
worries.
great.
Let me
Thank
put a
you,
little package
Kelly.
together and send it, and then yeah, I mean, just since I can't be there in person, I'd love to at least you could do some giveaways. I know when we had Spin Down up in Colorado, Sean got a bunch of stuff from a bunch of different people and was able to do some giveaways, and that was really fun.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
All right, well, good talking to you, Ray. I got another caller. Let's see who we have up next. Actually, we have two more in the queue. So, all right, I'm about to jump onto
Wow.
another call. Let's see who it is, and remember to mute mute your computer before you pick up. Oh, hello. Who do we have?
Hey, Kelly, this is Mike. Wright.
Hey, Michael Wright,
How you
Texas
doing?
Architecture, fellow
You
Texan
bet.
here. We got all the Texans in the house tonight. How's it
Yeah.
going?
Oh, doing great. Doing great. I
Awesome.
had a question for Adam. Do they ever interface? You
Hey,
familiar with
Mike.
a Texar? Texar.
Yeah,
You familiar
yeah.
with it?
So I am. Yeah, I've reached out to one of the guys in leadership there, and we're working on doing some joint training with them. So I know they have an active UAS program. Do you fly for them?
I do not fly for them. I know I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth. I know they have areas
Oh,
all
okay.
over Texas,
Yep. Yeah.
different areas that they do have volunteers for.
Yeah. They do great work. And so we've interfaced with them through our special operations team, and um, they do really good work. So we're looking forward to doing some joint training with them. And it's definitely a group that if there's folks who have aircraft and want to come out and volunteer and do search and rescue work, I think they require Part 107,
Right.
but they do a lot of the the additional training and scenario time and similar stuff to what we're doing with our program and what a lot of the public safety programs are doing with search and rescue scenarios and things like that. So yeah, they're a
Great.
fantastic group.
Okay.
Hey,
Well, great.
Michael,
Okay.
you think
Yes,
you'd
sir.
think you might come down on the 27th?
I plan on it. Now
Oh,
I'm going to
nice.
Florida. I won't be back till Tuesday night, and if my wife will
Oh,
let me get back, I'll leave again in 3 days.
oh man. All right. You got the drone schedule. Well, have a safe trip to
Exactly.
Florida. I know a lot of people are driving out there, so all you guys who are going to Florida, drive safe. Look out for crocodiles, alligators. They'll just come up and bite your tire if you're not careful. So,
That's right. Well, I'm flying. No, that'd
oh,
be
you're
good. Okay,
okay.
Kelly.
All right. Well, good to
Thanks, Mike.
talk to you, Michael. Hopefully I'll see
Good
you on
talking
the
to you.
27th. We got one more
Hopefully.
caller. Let's take one more. See who
I'll
we got here. All right, caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Don't forget to mute your computer and introduce yourself.
Harley FPV.
Harley FPV. What is up, Greg?
Not much, man.
Hey, I
Hey,
heard I saw you got an autel, right? You've got one coming,
yeah,
or you ordered an autel?
yep. And I got a question for you.
Sure. For Adam.
no, for you.
For me.
What
All
do you
right.
think about, yeah, what do you think about that, the Evo 2?
Oh, well, I have one sitting in a box right over there. I'll tell you this. I've only flown it one time. It was Ken Dono's, original Dobo. He let me fly his. I really liked the camera. I really liked the point Adam was making, how well it does in the wind. I liked the color, the fact that it's so visible in the sky. It's just, that bright orange just really stands out. I liked the remote control. I did feel like it was more of a beast, more of kind of a bigger, heavier aircraft than say a Phantom, or sorry, a Mavic. But yeah, all of those things, Harley, made me want to order one, and so I actually did order one and plan. I've also been seeing. It seems like there's a lot of people recently who have gotten them, and there's a lot more content on YouTube about them, and I felt like I was missing out there. So I I'm excited to try it just like you, man. I'm going to be using it quite a bit over the summer and in the spring. So, hoping to make some good video on it.
All right. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, so the 1 inch sensor on that Pro on the
Uh-oh, I don't
6K
like it.
is
Yeah.
fantastic. It's low light. It's flying it up next to like the Mavic 2 Zoom that doesn't have a gray. It's got a 2/3 sensor or whatever it is. when you put the Autel up next to it, it's just fantastic. The amount of light you get in on that 6K camera is really good. We don't do a lot of cinematography type shots, but for us to be able to fly around, and just using ambient light, downtown Austin and places, it's a really really nice sensor. And I'm a hardcore Autel guy. Like I love the Autel platform, and I'm definitely a fanboy for Autel.
Doesn't hurt. Greg, how are you doing? Have you taken any trips on your bike lately? So just real quick,
Nope.
Adam, Harley FPV's got he's got a motorcycle. He travels around, takes drones with him, and I met him in Colorado. Actually, you're from Colorado Springs, right, Greg?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
No trips
It's
recently.
beautiful.
Nah, it's too. Hey, the mountains still got snow in them.
Okay. Well, you're not going down to Florida, I don't think, are you?
Nah,
No.
not yet. Because I don't like flying or driving. I want to ride.
Yeah, that would be a long ride. Would you come down to Texas if we have spin up in like Central Texas somewhere? Would you come down for that?
Oh yeah, I'm
All
already.
right.
I don't care where you have spin up at. I'm gonna be there.
All right. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, it's funny because both you guys have been subscriber of the month on the channel. So Harley was just a couple months ago. So all the stuff I sent you, Adam, that you haven't received yet, that you're going to open that box, Harley's already got it. I bet you're drinking out of that mug right now, aren't you, Harley?
Yep.
And maybe you're drinking some of that stuff we had in Colorado, because we had some really good stuff in Colorado. He says, "Here, try this," and I was like, "Boom!" Well, hey, Greg,
awesome.
it's good talking to you, man. Stay safe,
Yep.
and hey, let's once I get my Autel up and going, and you get yours up and going, reach out and let's just kind of trade secrets and little things we learn about it. I'm excited to learn from Adam about it. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff about it that he knows from using it in those extreme situations that we'll have to figure out.
Yeah. All right, and I can't wait to meet him too.
All right,
He'll be
take care, Greg.
All righty.
Talk to you later. Bye. All right. It looks like hey, we had a good series of calls there. That's pretty good. I actually, I will say, this platform, I'm reaching up here to push buttons on my phone and stuff like that. But the call in thing is really cool. That's something
That's pretty cool.
I feel like I'm on an old timey, and I say old timey, like 10, 20 years ago call in show. Real quick, just want to say thank you to Ryan Gordon for the $4.99 super chat, and also to Rob Mueller for the £2 super chat. It looks like that's maybe that's a euro. That's a euro sign. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Helps me do things like buy Autel drones and learn more about that stuff. Adam, it's 8:04. I know you got kids to attend to, and probably I started eating my supper right before this started, and then I ran out of time, so I'm going to finish that. But any last words you want to add before we sign off?
No, just thanks. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the content that you put on, and all these guys in the chat that have great YouTube channels. Somebody asked if I have a YouTube channel, and I don't really. I think I've got one video up there of some deer running around in a green belt behind our house with a thermal, which I've just recently found out is illegal. So I'm probably going to take that down before Parks and Wildlife. They don't, apparently in Texas, you can't film wildlife with a thermal camera. So
really, that's probably like poachers, right? Or people who might be.
I guess, yeah.
Wow. Do you have a lot of deer in your neighborhood?
Yeah, we've got a couple of little greenbelt areas that are actually just starting to be developed. So they don't come up in the neighborhood much, but they're all over the place around the neighborhood.
Nice. Well, again, Adam, thanks for being on. Thanks for being, as Captain Ray said, we appreciate what you do for the community, and also just bringing drones in and doing good stuff with them. I think anybody that's doing that, I know the drone community appreciates that, because there's so many possibilities of good things we can do, and we've just got to outshine the bad things. And I don't feel
Yep.
like there's an excessive number of bad things, but we'll just make the good things so massive that the bad things don't stand a chance. They just get squished.
Right. Yep.
All right,
Yep.
all right, man. Well, look out for your package that should be in the mail, or it was in the mail. It might be in your mailbox right now.
Maybe there
And
now. Yeah. Yep.
text me and let me know if you get it. And thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you taking the time out to be on here.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelly.
Okay. All right,
Take care.
I'm going to let Adam go, and I'm just going to say a hello and a thank you to everyone. I think I'm going to let him go. There we go. Gotta get the finger on the button. Thank you guys all for tuning in tonight. As we said at the top of the hour, kind of a sad night for everyone who knew Rick Halber. And, again, thanks to you guys who gave him shout outs. And I know he'll be missed. He was and is loved. And I also was talking to Chris Hope earlier today. Let's just take a minute to appreciate everybody else who's here. As I've told all of you before, having you guys spend an hour with me every week like this means a lot. I know your time is valuable, and you could be doing anything. It's like Jay-Z said, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. Y'all fly safe, take care of yourselves, and we will see you next week. I have a great guest next week, so be sure to tune in.